Good evening. We want to thank those of you who are about to watch this videography. It has a touch of history with its background, and there were some people from the Waller County Historical Society who felt that this would be a good time or point to discuss it. And I'd actually like to introduce myself this evening. My radio name, I was radio announcer at KPVU 91.3 FM. For quite a while, I was one of the nation's #1 gospel DJs back in the day. So I'm very, very, very local. Born here, raised here. My name, like I said, is on my radio title, I'm the Reverend Dr. Walter Nathaniel Pete Pendleton, right here at KPVU 91.3 FM in Prairie View, Texas. So that was my opening line, and a little bit that people knew that my people were the pioneers of Prairie View A&M University and Texas A&M. My great-grandfather, by the name of George W. Wyatt, his picture hangs in the state capitol there in Austin. Now, he went into the Texas legislature after the Civil War from 1868 to 1900. He was helpful in also legislating Texas A&M and Prairie View A&M University into its existence. Prairie View is at the university because of my family. They made a great contribution. If you really want to think about it, it's the largest financial institute ever in Waller County because it's been there since the 1800s. Plus, Prairie View, from my understanding, brings in annually a year $381 million. And over time, it has made us and considered us as being one of the largest tax bases and one of the originals in the state of Texas. It employs over 2,000 employees, and it builds a very good tax base. But nevertheless, G.W. Wyatt, Hempstead House Legislature, you may want to look up his name, Google his name, George W. Wyatt, early Hempstead House Legislature from 1868 to 1900, and you'll find some small inscriptions on him. It's not a lot on him. Back in that day, we didn't get a lot of publicity. It was not a lot published about us, so now we're trying to catch up and introduce the people who and what has happened and who we are, and I'm basically just introducing myself as the direct descendant of George W. Wyatt, Hempstead House Legislature. So, being all that said, I've had some accomplishments. God has really blessed me, and He's ordered my steps. Because I'm sitting here in a shoe shine stand, and I'm doing that because it's carrying a certain aura. And I will explain. I started out with a shoe shine stand. My father made me a shoe shine box when I was about 10 years old, and I don't know why he made it. He didn't say anything. He just made it, carved it out with his hands, and it was really nice, and just gave it to me. And I guess that was an onset then, spiritually. That's what fathers do. But a shoe shine stand back in the 50s, that was the thing, especially in the African American community. And so, but from there, I sit in these chairs because I started out doing that. And my subject, if I was going to give a subject, would be from the shoe shine stand to the Pentagon. It's quite a wide space, from a shoe shine stand to the Pentagon. And the reason I use that as a subject somewhat, because, a little brief real quick, my wife earned her PhD at Texas A&M in biomedical engineering. And I used to take my shoe shine stand up to the bank while she was in school, and I had my little shoe shine next because one time we stayed on campus. We had a little old dormitory, and I'd go down to the bank, shine shoes, and one day, but make a long story short, one day there was a call went out from the President of the United States, George Bush, and the Queen of England did a collaboration, and they wanted to beat the Russians and China in putting up the next telescope. And they partnered together, but they partnered with Texas A&M system because George Bush out of Texas A&M, so there was that connection. And Texas A&M had the opportunity to find the #1 person who could go in and pioneer the replacement of the Hubble telescope. And fortunately, it was my wife after she turned the job down the first time, because we had planned to go on the road for the summer, sell watermelons, and that's what we did. That's what we do in the country. This is an agriculture-based society. And every summer we'd go out and, boy, we have fun on the highway, out at Walmart, pitch our tent and sell watermelons. So we had made a decision to do that. But her name popped up for this project in Greenbelt, Maryland at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center. And a guy, world-renowned scientist, Mike Doobie, if he ever see this tape, hello Mike. Mike Doobie was brought to NASA to pioneer the replacement of the Hubble telescope, but he wanted someone from Texas A&M to do it. And we turned the job down, and NASA called back and pleaded with us and said, Dr. Pendleton, what do we need to do to say we blew it? And said we blew it because we didn't do the process in order. We should have gotten, you should have gotten a chance to give us an answer before we went this far. They're thinking that you're coming, and when we called Texas A&M, and Texas A&M asked us, say, well, look, she's not going to take this up. Who do you know anyone? And they said, well, no, there's no one else. She's the best there is. That ain't nobody but God. She's the best there is, and you get that from Texas A&M University. So we cut a deal. My wife told him, she said, well, if I'm going to come, I'm going to have to bring my husband. I'm disabled, and he sets up all of my equipment for me. And they said, well, how much are we going to have to pay him? She said, the same thing you pay me. He said, well, your plane tickets are at the airport. And I went from a shoe shine stand to the Pentagon to pioneer and co-pioneer the replacement of the Hubble telescope, which is the James Webb telescope. I couldn't draw that story up. I couldn't make up a story like that. God is awesome. I have to say that he's awesome. He ordered my steps. And in ordering my steps, he's taken me places and I thank him for the opportunity. But I am a product of George W. White, the Hempstead House legislature, who legislated Texas A&M, that's another connection, and Purdue A&M University into its existence. And at this time, it was separate but equal. Segregation, we're in the South. It's a lot we lost from 1868 up until, there's a lot we've lost. And we are in negotiation now with the Texas A&M system, doing that. I'm an heir, that we're trying to put something together that we can come out with a solution on how we can expedite some things, because Texas A&M sits on $75 billion on a trust. That's a lot of money. And if we can negotiate to a fact that we could get a little bit more piece of that, I think Prairie View would be it would be the upcoming giant. And that's what I'm fighting for, trying to get rural areas brought up to speed, because everybody's moving to Texas. Everybody, every day is moving to Texas. Texas is growing overnight. But we've been left out, as we've left a portion out of history on the African American side. We do not have history. Our history is being depleted. We're at a standstill, and That's one of the things that when us partnering with Texas A&M and Prairie View that we can get and we were with the president on just last week. Matter of fact, we were with her last week. And we're going to create some things to get more involved with the community, because universities are put into communities that they can come in and upgrade that community. And right there in Hempstead, sometimes it looks like Saigon. It's not developed at all. It is really depleted. But we're going to work on something right now as we speak to put it in the equation. The president even went as far the other day when she went out to the cemetery. Our family cemetery sits on the campus at Prairie View A&M University. My family cemetery sits on the University of Prairie View A&M University. And unfortunately, we have some issues that we're trying to work on now. Somehow they put a road through the university, a street at the back of the university, and they came to our family cemetery, and we've got relatives up under the ground at the university, and we're working on that now. Rice University did a survey and found out with X-ray vision that they could at least about 22 bodies up under the street there on the campus at Prairie View. And as I think about it, it really brings kind of tears to my eyes. One of them is my grandmother. When I was a kid, my father and I went out and we used to go out and clean graves, and he told me one time, he said, son, I said, yes, sir. He said, my mother is buried there. Her name is Alice Mae Pendleton. She's a Wyatt. That sticks into my head today. She's a Wyatt. And I'm 10 years old. He painted the word picture because it stuck there. After I got older, I had to learn a lot of things about my history just at the university, because I came through high school, we didn't Texas history and world history, but it never talked about the African American here in the United States. So we're trying to close the gap on that. We're starting, hopefully we can get some things down. I'm only going on what my father told me, and some of these things are memorable, and I think about the fact that if my grandmother's up under the street, what can you say? What can you say? You know, that happened over 100 years ago, or maybe 90 years ago. It happened, but we're working on some things now. Hopefully we can get some things resolved with this new president. She's ideal. If you ever get a chance to meet her, she's ideal. She came in and she partnered with us, and she has a lot of ideas that she's about to do and to execute. And I'm looking forward to having a great journey with our new president at Prairie View A&M University. I first stated, as I'm about to go, I'm fortunate enough to be a former NASA research scientist because I was running with my wife. And I went from the shoe shine stand to the Pentagon. I want to thank you for allowing us to come out and vent with you today. Hopefully someone see this and, hey, need somebody to speak at one of your conventions or whatever, I'm open. Remember, out of 7.7 billion people on this earth, I'm the only person who can stand up and say that I pioneered or co-pioneered the replacement of the Hubble telescope. My wife is gone on. She's passed away almost two years ago, but we worked together side by side, and we got a chance to do the research, find the coefficient of friction, and all of these other things that go off in the gamma rays and whatever. She was an ideal scientist, and I learned a lot from her. But I just want to thank you again for the opportunity that we've come to at least identify ourselves. And later on, we may be able to get together and do other interviews. I'd love to do that. I'd love to leave a legacy of our history here in Texas from the early Hempstead House Legislature point of view. George W. White, Hempstead House Legislature, which I am a direct descendant. Thank you.